with this week, you know, there's a lot been going on. It's a lot been going on. And so, you know, all in all, when you pay attention to the prophecies and all that type of stuff, you'll see a lot of things that's transpiring, which is current. The nations, they all trying to find a way to make peace treaties. None of the peace treaties are working, none of that stuff, and it's all the hand of the Most High. Think about it. What would be the cause of them trying to make peace treaties and stuff?
So they won't get their behind toe up.
So they won't what?
Get their behind toe up.
They're trying to avoid war. They're trying to avoid the wars.
Yeah, everybody will be against America.
But every treaty they making, if you pay attention, you see it, every treaty they making is breaking, is failing. And they're doing all this in a ditch effort to what? Try to avoid the war. And the things that said to come. But one thing we know for sure, that the Bible is the only true book. The Bible is the only true book. How we know that? Who that? Say what?
Because of the prophecies.
Because of the prophecies. Right. The Bible has prophecies that shall not fail. Precept.
What, like an example of a prophecy?
No.
One of these shall fail.
Precept. Not one of these, no one of these shall fail. No. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
Isaiah 30. Isaiah 34:16.
Give him a hand. Give him a goddamn hand.
I'll turn it to it. He looked at my page.
Somebody read it for me. Read what you got.
Isaiah 34:16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail.
Right. When it says seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, what is the book of the Lord? Who?
The Bible.
The Bible. It says, and none of these shall fail. What the hell is that talking about?
None of these prophecies, none of the words in the Bible shall fail.
None of the prophecies written therein shall fail. I mean, if it's in there, it's going to happen. Or it's already happened. But none of the prophecies in the Bible that's recorded shall fail. Read on.
None shall want her mate.
What does that mean?
No other book can come. You don't need no other book to compare with the Bible or line it up with the Bible.
Right. What is a mate? Right. It stands alone. What is a mate?
Something that needs to be together.
A partner. Something that goes. A mate is a husband and a wife. This Bible has no husband. This Bible has no wife. This ain't the Quran where you read, they tell you to read this book, but this book telling you go here to prove this. Go here to prove that. You don't need nothing to prove the Bible. All you need is what? The things that shall not fail, which is the prophecies. The prophecies let you know that this is the realest book ever written. This is the realest thing ever written. None of these shall fail. So, and case in point, that none shall fail. Case in point, give me Revelations real quick. Revelations chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9, verse 13. So we looking at it. This Bible is full of prophecies that will not fail. And when you read this book, we can see all prophecies that this book written thousands of years ago is still telling you the things that's happening before time. Come on.
Revelation chapter 9,
verse 13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar.
Hold on, I need y'all. We reading current events. We reading prophecies. I'm gonna need y'all to give me them war horses.
Revelation chapter 9 and verse 13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river of Euphrates.
Right. So it says, loose the four angels that are bound in the great river Euphrates. Right. Now, this is it's something great about that river Euphrates. Something great about that river Euphrates. Case in point, I want y'all to see this real quick. Now, some of y'all already saw this because we covered some of this stuff a while back.
That's right.
But I want y'all to see it. Give me a second. I'm gonna mute this on YouTube real quick, and then I'm coming back.
Now, Iraqis fleeing 3 towns on the banks of the Euphrates River. There are new concerns.
Yeah, the volume gotta definitely come up.
Concerns that the river's water level is so low that ISIS fighters can just walk across and launch attacks.
That's after ISIS militants, they shut off the gate.
Happening now, Iraqis fleeing 3 towns on the banks of the Euphrates River. There are new concerns that the river's water level is so low that ISIS fighters can just walk across and launch attacks.
That's after ISIS militants, they shut off the gates of the Ramadi Dam. This new strategy presenting a major security and humanitarian threat.
And the sixth. So now, what I want y'all to, what did we just hear? It's pretty much dried up to the point where they can do what? They could walk over and make attacks. So now, go to Revelation chapter 16, verse 12. Watch these prophecies. Revelation 16 and 12.
Revelation chapter 16 and verse 12. And the sixth angel poured out his veil upon the great river Euphrates, and the waters thereof were dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared.
That the way of the kings might be prepared. So it said that the great river of Euphrates, after the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the river of Euphrates, the waters dried up. Now, for those who understand, how many seals is it?
7.
It's 7 seals? It's 6, right? Remember, 666 equals what? Destruction of Esau, really. But you know, 6 seal, 6 trumpet, 6 vow. He poured out his vow upon the Euphrates River, and the river was dried up that it may make way for the kings. When it's talking about making way for the kings, it's talking about for war. The war that's to come, that's going to be the end of the world. The destruction of the nations, right? Now, for those who know, what other book could tell you this? That it was going to come a time where the sixth angel was going to pour out a vow upon the Euphrates River, and it was going to dry up to make room for war. What other book told you that? No, I'm talking outside of the Bible.
Oh, Lord.
And no other book. No, they have to read our books after it come out 700 years later, just like the Quran. Over 600 and some years later, then they come with the Quran and say, oh, it's a real book. You know how many times you could have read our book in 600 years and try to imitate it and mix it in with Muslim and the Arabs? So our book told us thousands of years ago that the Euphrates rivers was going to dry up for there to be a war for the nations. So now we see it. So if you see that, case in point to show you that the prophecies in our book don't fail. When you see something like that, now one thing should hit your mind. Go to Romans 13 and 11. I just want to touch that. I like that. Y'all excuse the fake Christian gospel music playing in the back. It's a church in front of us. And they defiling the Lord's Sabbath as always.
Romans chapter 13 and verse 11. And that knowing the time, that now it is high time to awake out of sleep.
It is high time to wake out of sleep.
For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe. Now
the salvation is nearer than we believe. So now, when it says it's high time to wake out of sleep, what is it saying? Right. Let's put it like this. One of my favorite examples to use when I'm breaking this thing down. If you have to be to work at 5 a.m. and you wake up at 4:58 a.m., are you late yet? No, you're not late yet. But common sense tells you what? You're going to be late. And says it's high time is saying that you're not actually too late to repent now, but you're right there. You're basically late. So, same thing now when we read these prophecies and we see these things coming to fulfillment. We got another one we read about he poured his vial out. He poured, he broke a seal, how the water turned into blood. Well, Miami just had a whole lake turning to blood. Red tide. All the dead fish is floating up on the sea and everything. I mean, on the shores and everything. Remember when we did the class about it, I showed y'all another place where the whole damn thing was nothing but blood floating down the stream. So the point of me doing this, if you with me saying what I'm saying, why are we touching these current events right now? What am I trying to show y'all?
It's almost over.
Trying to tell you, whatever you ain't got much time. Death is creeping upon our people. It's high time to wake up. Our salvation is nearer than we believe. And while most of our people are going with emotions, and even us that's in the truth, you walk in, you being all nonchalant, you ain't stacking up your words, and death is creeping up upon you. The time is short. Death is creeping up on you. Am I saying that tomorrow you're gonna wake up and the world gonna be over? No, I'm not saying that. No man knows the hour or the time, but what I am telling you is and salvation is nearer than you believe. No man knows the hour. We may think that this gives us another 10 years. This gives us another 2 years, 3 years. Who's to say? Most I may say, all right, release the bombs next week. Well, Father, everybody ain't still, well, whoever ain't still, let them die. So current events, so I want to show y'all that none of the prophecies in this Bible is going to fail. Everything that's written is going to happen. So now, with that being said, the Euphrates River is dried up to make place of war. It's an argument going down between Donald Trump and I forget who exactly who it is. But guess what? Right up under them, like right up in the coastal region where they arguing at, in that area, right above them is the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Now, if you know about the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which I'm gonna touch in a little bit, you will know that that's the place that the Most High said He's going to deal with the nations. So the end is there. It's already set in stone. It's coming to you right now, and you don't even realize it. All right, watch this. Matthew 24. We are nearly to the end. Matthew 24, and we're just going to jump through and touch a couple verses. Matthew 24, start at verse. Start at 3.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world?
So the disciples wanted to know what was going to be the end of the world. What are the signs? And right before you come, read.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Take heed that no man deceive you. Verse 5.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many.
I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Caesar Borgias came in the image of Christ and deceived damn near the whole world. We were all probably once deceived. It just so happens the Most High allowed us to wake up and see that was the man that came in Christ's name and deceived many. How else did he come in his Christ's name and deceive many? He came with a philosophy, a new doctrine, a new religion called who? Christianity and the 7 branches to it. Read on.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
How long have we been hearing about wars getting ready to break out? For a long time. Read on.
See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
7.
For nation shall rise against nation.
Now, this is what we definitely see it now. See, at that time when you was hearing the rumors of the wars, that wasn't the end. But now it's telling you nations are going to rise up against nations. Is that not happening?
Yeah.
Come on.
And kingdom against kingdom.
Kingdom against kingdom. That's superpowers. That's America and Russia, Korea, China. All of them are superpowers. They rising up against each other now. Some of them taking sides. Okay, if you attack this one, we're gonna attack y'all. You attack them, we're attacking you. All the nations are getting it's reveling up. The pot is brewing now. You know, you get how you put your pot of water on the stove, and then you let it sit there until the water start boiling. Then you start throwing your stuff in it. That's what the pot is boiling.
And there shall be famines and pestilence.
There shall be famines and pestilence. Famines. What's a famine? Shortages of foods. Come on.
And pestilence.
What's pestilences? Diseases, sicknesses, Ebola, all that stuff like that, right? Come on.
And earthquakes.
Earthquakes?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I want to see something real quick. Earthquakes.
In diverse places.
How the hell does Oklahoma, snap dab in the center, have earthquakes? Rocking them. Look at what happened in Mexico. Yeah, China too. Hey, you see how the earth just opened up and just swallowed places now?
Mm-hmm.
Sinkholes just opening up, swallowing traffic.
All throughout the place.
Watch this, read on.
Oh, that was for our film. All these are the beginning of sorrow.
That's the beginning of some real y'all know what I was about to say.
Mm-hmm.
You was going to say something?
Oh. It was something about a scripture I read. It was said something about swap something about them doing something straight to hell. Hey, I was thinking, I was like, what happened? That's talking about the sinkhole, and next thing you know, they get some shit. Oh no, that would be some crazy shit. It be a sinkhole happening under people's houses, and they hold
my whole house getting swallowed up and shit. Man.
I was like,
that's crazy.
Verse 9.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake.
So these are gonna be the last days when we are hated for Christ's name's sake. Did they not just tell y'all that we are considered a what? A terrorist group and a hate group. So what do you think? Remember, one head, one danger class is pivotal when you think about the prophecies that's fulfilling themselves, because them labeling us a terrorist group and a hate group tells you how do they feel about us. They hate us. So what do you think they're gonna do next? They're gonna start delivering us up to be killed. Okay, so now we could read through a lot more, but I just want to jump to verse 38.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 38.
No. I'm sorry, Salakia. Jump to Matthew's 35.
Verse 35 or chapter?
35, verse 35. No, damn, 33, Salakia.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 33. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door.
Right, it says, know that it is near, even at the doors. What does that mean? It means we're at the threshold of it. And when somebody say, I'm at the door, what are they saying?
I'm right there.
I'm here. Right, man. So the Bible said when Christ told them, when you see and hear all these things here and see them happening, it is near, even at the door, meaning you at the threshold of the kingdom or destruction, whichever one you finna get. The end is here. Only thing you gotta do is unlock the door so you can walk in.
Right.
And Most High's hand is doing that. That's why the nations can't come to an actual agreement. They make a treaty, and the next week is broken. Excuse me. It's over.
Right.
So now, that can be a scary thing or a pivotal thing, because now you realize, damn, just how short of a window you actually got now. So now watch this. Luke 21. Luke 21 and verse 28. You know what I'm saying? Every night I do a lot of classes on our conduct and ourselves, and getting your, because I think it's pivotal that you get yourself in line before that time comes. But every now and then I gotta remind y'all that I can't get too far off where I don't start showing y'all these prophecies that's starting to happen and where you at in the timeline.
Luke chapter 21 and verse 28. And when these things began to come to pass.
And when these things begin to come to pass,
then look up.
And
lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh.
Your redemption draweth nigh. When these things become to pass and you seeing these things happening, look up to the sky, because that's what the redemption is nigh. Now we know that this is talking about those who are going to actually get in. Otherwise, when it says look up to the sky, don't think about the redemption part. Just think the bump. You looking, because damn, is that if you looking, you see that bomb coming, you too late.
Right.
So that scream is over. You wasn't delivered from the archers. You're going to die here in America. So now, why people just walking around all nonchalant. Everybody's just cool. Nobody's paying attention. It's just like the Bible said it was going to be. People, I don't even watch the news. But I got enough just to know what the hell going on. Every now and then I have to look up and like, okay, something ain't right. Let me get on the internet and see what the hell going on. And then not only that, scriptures tell you, you look around and see the thing that's happening around you, you should be able to tell that time is getting closer and closer. So when I'm looking, I'm like, okay, everybody, I'm seeing these things, but nobody else seeing it. And everybody concerned with everything else except for what's going to happen. Watch this, Matthew 24, now verse 38. Because the Bible tells you it was going to be like that. Everybody's going to be going about their regular business, just hanging and chilling, doing whatever they're supposed to be doing, or whatever they want to be doing. Watch this, Matthew 28, 34. I mean 38. 24, 38.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came,
right,
and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be.
Right. What is this telling you?
Same way that it happened in Noah days, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be the same thing.
Right. Business as usual. Everybody be going on with business as usual. People gonna be clocking into their jobs. People gonna be going into marriage chambers. People gonna be eating and drinking. It's gonna be like a normal day, and then boom, all of a sudden, the day of the Lord.
Okay.
Destruction. The day of the Lord is gonna come. So now when you see it, Luke 21, 28 again, when it says, and now when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Our redemption equals what for the nation? Destruction. Your salvation is their destruction. Your kingdom is their hell. Just like their kingdom is your hell. That's why right now when a brother says, man, I'm living in hell, it's like, you're right. You're absolutely right. We are living in hell right now. We are all in hell right now. If you're an Israelite, this is hell for you. And if you so happen to be enjoying hell, then something is obviously, yeah, you better go ahead and live it up because you made your kingdom here on earth. So now watch this. Psalms 110, verse 6. So our redemption is near, meaning their destruction is near. The destruction of the other nations and of the wicked Israelites. Psalms 110, verse 6. Yeah.
All right.
I believe you should. Yeah, that's it. That's what I want.
Psalms chapter 110 and verse 6. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies.
He shall fill the places with dead bodies.
He shall wound the heads over many countries.
He shall wound the heads over many countries. The Lord is going to wound the head over many countries. Now, let's see what countries this Bible is talking about. We already know it's the heathens. But let's see what country is the Lord going to wound the heads over. Go to your Apocrypha, 2nd Ezra chapter 16. they all gonna get their piece, but I just want to touch a certain part. 2nd Ezra 16 and 1.
2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia.
Right, it says, woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Now, Babylon, which was ancient Babylon, was who? Iraq.
Yeah, I would say Syria, though. Yeah, I would say Syria.
Ancient Babylon was Iraq, in the Iraq area. Not saying the Iraqians are them, but it was that coast.
It's in the Ishmael area.
Yeah. So ancient Babylon was the Iraqi area, which is today what? I mean, Slovakia. Who is Babylon today? America, right? So it says, "Woe be to Babylon in Asia," right?
Yeah.
Watch this. Read on.
Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria.
Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Now, this is what I want to do real quick. Let me see if I can find the clip. I remember I played a clip for y'all about this a while back too. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second.
Oh, God.
They ain't cutting on. Oh, snap! This mine ain't it? You took my batteries out.
You didn't take no batteries out when I got my batteries, man. All the batteries that's sitting up there.
Hey, follow me, look like, what is that?
That guy, he took paper from his. I ain't gonna look.
I had got that with the Kobe Bryant edition. That done messed me up. I was like, oh. It's not. I almost said the man.
Yeah, because I just put batteries in it last night. I mean, the night before. Yeah.
Oh. Red Dead Redemption 2 loud. I get it soon. All right, let me see what shit going. Thank you, that shit. Syria.
Oh,
Syria.
That shit's spelled.
You know that's weak. Syria. Why?
Keep it clear. Have the A space.
Yeah, the clear. I mean, the space used to be in the middle.
That's what I was doing.
That mean that's why they did a self update. I see what y'all talking about. I could taste the sweet red taste. I just at first it's so strong, it's like soda.
You see right here. I want y'all to see this.
زوجتي وأطفالي أحمد وآية قدامي استشهدوا توأم. قال له يا بابا يا شعور كلمة فوق قال يا شعور يا بابا يا شعرة وشعور كتير يا روحي يا شعرة بضعوفك يوم يا بابا يا بابا قال له يا شعرة بضعوفك يوم يا أيوشي يسوي بابا فنان خدت أحمد يا نظام كل إخواتي زوجتي هذه يا زوجتي واخواتي
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't the one I was looking for, but it's similar. Well, it shows him he holding his dead kids and he's screaming and crying over them. You know what I'm saying? When they release the gases on them, whatever. so now, understand this. We gonna read the prophecy of that. Pick up what we was at.
Read that verse over.
Yeah.
All right. Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with cloths of sack and hair. Bewail your children.
He said, do what?
Bewail your children.
He told you Syria and Egypt was going to bewail their children. They're going to bewail their children. When it says in Egypt, because in 2013, Egypt going through. Since 2013, when they going through hell, murders, all type of destructions, right?
For real.
So
got videos of that? No.
I ain't. To be honest, I ain't look to put one up. So but there's a lot going on in Egypt, right? And then it says in Syria, bewail your children. I mean, what?
You gonna cry for them.
Right. That's why you all that what you crying and stuff. You bewailing his children, just like the Bible said, right?
And be sorry, for your destruction is at hand.
Because of what?
Your destruction is at hand.
So ain't we seeing this stuff happen?
Yeah.
So their destruction is at hand. Come on. Is that end of 3?
That was 2.
Go ahead.
A sword is set upon you.
Hold on. The Most High just said he doing what?
A sword is set upon you.
He said it's a sword set upon you. What killed his sons? Gas, bombs, and all that type of stuff out there, right? So watch this. He says a sword is sent upon you. Is that it?
And who may turn it back?
Who may turn it back? Nobody's going to reverse what this Bible said, because the Bible's the true book. Who's going to return it back? The hand of the Lord has sent these bombs, the swords against them. Now, what you got to understand is that into that verse?
Yeah, verse 3, yeah.
Okay. So now what you got to understand is when it says a sword is sent upon sent upon them, it's a sword sent upon these nations. Now what you got to understand is this ain't the medieval days. Ain't nobody running around there with actual swords fighting.
Right.
The swords that it was talking about is guns, bombs, and missiles primarily. Because when you try to, you got to remember, Idris is explaining this to you in a day where they didn't say bombs, they didn't say missiles. He's seeing something flying across the sky, and it looked like a sword, and it's breathing fire, and it's like they're sending swords upon you. It's talking about missiles. All you gotta do is draw a damn sword and put the little flames behind it, and you'll see that's exactly what Esdras was explaining. So he said, the Lord has sent a sword upon them, meaning the guns, the bombs, and the missiles. Now watch this. Let's prove something real quick. Go to 2nd Esdras 15. 2nd Esdras 15 and 41.
2nd Esdras, chapter 15 and verse 41. Fire and hail and flying swords.
And flying swords. Fire and hail and flying swords. Now, swords don't fly. So that's talking about missiles. Come on.
And many waters.
And many waters.
That all fields may be full.
Come on.
And all rivers with the abundance of great waters.
All right. So this right here is prophesied what? The war of Syria. It's prophesied the war of Syria, showing you that these things are going to happen. So we're talking about great fires. Because you remember, we doing all of this to bring it back to a point of what's getting ready to come to us. The kingdom, but remember we talking about destruction now. So what's going to be the cause of destruction here?
It's
War. Right. So watch this. Now, when we read about the fires and stuff, Malachi 4 and 1. We ain't gonna stay on this long. I just want to touch something brief to show y'all about, prophecies. We ain't gonna be on long. We got like I'm gonna just do. I'm gonna nip it real fast. So Malachi 4 and 1.
Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven.
So behold, the day cometh that shall burn like an oven. Come on.
And all the proud, and all that do wicked.
And all that do wickedly.
Shall be stubble.
Shall be stubble. What is stubble? Ashes, crumbs, debris. Right. Come on.
And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts. that it shall leave them neither root nor branch.
Right. So the Lord is telling you that the day of destruction is coming now. Mm-hmm. And all that do wickedly shall be left as stubble. It is an evil thing. All that do evil. So now we know that that's the destruction of the nations coming towards us now. But it's also the day of destruction for who else?
Esau.
The other nations, but who else? The sinners of who? Okay, you're right. It's also the day of, when they say the day of the wicked, it's also not the destruction of our people. We know that our people that don't get it right, they're gonna do what? They're gonna die in that fire. Now, the reason why when you say the sinners, the reason why I always say the sinners of our people, because the other nations can't technically sin. You do know, I do understand that, right? Make it more direct. Why can't the other nations technically sin?
Because they wasn't given the law.
Bingo. Why? Because what is sin? Right. So the Lord only gave us the laws, then we don't know ones to what? Right. Because we don't want to technically. You can't break a law that wasn't given to you. So when you take that into account, this is their destruction. But it's also going to be the destruction and the death of our people who didn't get it right, who do wickedly, who do evil. So that means it is an evil thing for you to have the knowledge and not labor in the vineyard. Now people gonna die behind that, man. So, but keep getting back to the point. I don't want to, because I was about to go into a whole nother area. The day of destruction is coming, where the fire is gonna burn like an oven. They're gonna be left as stubble. Zechariah 14:2. Zechariah 14:2.
Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 2. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle.
Right. He said, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. So the Bible's telling you right here that the whole reason this is happening is why? For our sake. Them that are against Jerusalem, which is us. That's our motherland. Read it again.
For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the woman ravaged, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city.
Read 2 again, Slacky.
For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle.
And that's it. It says, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. Now, what you got to understand is, remember when I was just telling y'all the place where all this confrontation going down at between American and other nations, that is right up over or under where? Jehoshaphat. This verse said, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. Joel chapter 3, verse 2. So where he gonna gather on that? Let's see. The Euphrates River is dried up for war. Can anybody tell me where the Euphrates River is at? Is it north, east, west, south?
East.
It's east. Okay. Watch this.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Hold on, what?
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
So now, when we read in Zechariah 14:2, we said, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. Now we go to Joel 3:2, and it says he's going to do what now?
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
The valley of Jehoshaphat is the valley of decision.
And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage.
Right, because remember, all this stuff is happening because of what? Because us. They fighting against us. So now the Most High said, I'm going to bring them down to the valley of decision, and I will plead with them for my people. So like, you read it again?
And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel.
For my people and for my heritage, Israel. He said, I will bring them down to the valley of decision, or Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there. Now, how the hell does the Most High plead? Is he down there begging somebody? Right. Give me Isaiah 66, verse 16. In verse 16.
Isaiah chapter 66 and verse 16. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
And the slain of the Lord shall be many. So now it says, so when we read this and you're seeing the Lord, when you're reading this, if you got eyes to see, ears to hear, meaning understanding, you're seeing that the Lord is getting ready to destroy all the nations for Israel's sake, and the wicked of our people as well, so he can do what? Set forth his kingdom. And the Lord gives you a time period. So when you see all these things happening, our people get ready, man. If you are sleeping, you better wake the hell up. Because the prophecies are unfolding right in front of your face. All you gotta do is keep watching it. Just tune your head in every now and then and see what the hell Donald Trump up to. And you'll see that him and the nations, they get less and less testy and less patient with each other. They already can't stand him. You can tell that. They don't like him. He going around starting war with every goddamn body. And now they clunking together. And he trying to make allies and everything. It's gonna go down. But the Bible had already told us what was going to happen. What war would this be?
World War III.
Who?
World War III.
They also call it what? Starts with an A.
Armageddon.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But the Bible told us thousands of years ago that there was going to be a world war. What number? Proof or precept? Revelations 11. Revelations 11, and let's just get straight to it. Give me verse 14.
Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past.
Okay, hold on, read it again. I need you to read it strong.
The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly.
The second woe has passed, meaning the second war is past, and the third coming quickly. The third war is the end of it all. So the Bible had already predicted and told us, or prophesied, that it was going to be three wars. So y'all make sure y'all paying attention to these prophecies and stuff. Make sure you're lining yourself up, getting ready, because destruction is near. Destruction is near.